First time I met you today, but we're really thankful that you guys are taking some time to talk to us about your history and your families and histories. So yeah, whatever you guys need to do, I'll sit down and educate us. I'm excited to learn as
Jesse.
well.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse, and great to see all of you. And a great win last night at the field. Great atmosphere. Could have been 10-11 nothing maybe, but it was good to see the dominance over Honduras. As a longtime Canada soccer fan, and remember that 8-1 game that we lost in Honduras many years ago. It was good to see that last night. But I'm actually going to start in my language. So Hotspot, Tanoya, Posiam Insight, Tsnomot, Shaman, Oslo, Hokameo, Sxwíxwtn, Jesse, Sxwíxwtn, all of you for being here today. So I started off in my language, which is the Squamish language. My real name is Tsnomot. It's a very old name from the Squamish nation that comes from up in the Idaho Valley. I shared that with my late grandfather and my father. And I thank Jesse and all of you for welcoming us here to share a few words about First Nations history, my family history, because as we know, on Friday is National Indigenous Peoples Day, and we want to make sure that you as the ambassadors for the game of football in the country know our collective history as Canadians and how our young Indigenous girls and boys look up to all of you as athletes and prominent members of society. Just a little bit of history of myself. I didn't grow up playing the game of soccer. Here in the North Shore. I come from a little Indian reservation across the water called Oslo. It's a small reservation, about 6 square blocks. Wilson will tell what reservation he comes from in a minute. But I grew up playing soccer and lacrosse as a youngster. My main sport was lacrosse because my family a lot of my family members are members of the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. So it's a big sport within Indigenous communities, but I chose the soccer pathway. I was lucky enough to play for British Columbia, but also to wear the Canada logo as a 16 and 17-year-old in age grade soccer. And so I appreciate the opportunity to share that. And Paulo and I had a great conversation because we crossed paths as goalkeepers back in the late 80s, mid 80s, late 80s. And so, but I'm currently on the board of Canada Soccer. I got voted 13 months ago as an independent director, along with David Zauza, who's a former national team player you probably all know, who won the Gold Cup 25 years ago. But before I talk a little about my complicated history as a First Nations person, I'm going to pass it to Wilson to introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you, Tsnomot. Just want to raise my hands to Jesse and dear Tsnomot, brother, teammate, and all of you for the invitation and the open door, but more importantly, sharing your meal this afternoon to be part of your not only experience, but part of your life today, and to share from an Indigenous Squamish perspective on who we are, where we come from, and reciprocate that and hold you up with empowerment of who you are, where you come from. And a lot of life's journeys aren't easy. And you know, your road to get here, I'm sure it wasn't easy. But when we build relations worldwide, we become stronger, not only with life skills, but it identifies us through our character and who we are on our path for the rest of our lives. So it's an honor to be here to share. We celebrate June as Indigenous Peoples Month and Indigenous Peoples Days on Saturday. Tsnomot shared that you're a true inspiration for our Indigenous communities. And through the power of sport, I would say for sure in BC here in Canada, Indigenous people are attracted to the game of soccer. We recruited Tsnomot back to lacrosse when we played senior. He was our big hitter.
I wasn't a goal scorer.
He did score. But in saying that, the power of sport, when you believe in team, in unity, you don't have to use your voice. Let you play do the work. And to be a witness to what you've accomplished so far and what you're going to accomplish when we bear host to the World Cup next year. We just had our 1-year countdown and started the clock. We are so proud and honored and empowered, and our communities are thriving and want to play soccer. We need pitches, we need games, we need to be a part of this, and we are. But we want to be a part of your journey, We want to hold you up. Not only to be here to educate you on some of the history that is Vancouver. In our language, our old people referenced it as come alive, the great place of maple trees. I have a map on my wall of 1850 when Vancouver was just green, where our people were thriving off the land, living off the land. We want to share that with you, that knowledge and history, but we want to make that spiritual connection to you and give you strength and give you that good energy on this journey. We're betting who's going to be at the most games when we host next year. But it's more important for our young ones to be there, to witness you. And that's how we're going to get our kids there, through true leadership and true inspiration that you give. So I share that with you in a good way. Part of our teachings is to come share a meal, hold each other up, and share who you are and where you come from. We're doing research on some of the teams just to get to know a bit of background. Yeah, mainly me. But I thank you for the time and space to be here. Before we end today, and Tsnomot's going to share a story, we want to gift you and hold you up and share you leave you with a bit of a memento and enlightening to today. So, Sxwíxwtn and Tsnomot, Yuan Hafan Squalwin. My ancestral name is Sxwíxwtn. My name comes from down the river from Tsnomot along the Squamish River in the Squamish Valley. So, Sxwíxwtn and Tsnomot, Yuan Hafan Squalwin.
Thanks, Wilson. So I think part of, as we talk about this importance of this month of Indigenous Peoples History Month, is understand us, all of us are Canadian in this room, and we're always strive for excellence. I think part of us is understand our own history. And so when we talk about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report, it challenged all of us to know who we are as human beings. Because we're all human beings, first talk about humanity and moving forward. And so when we talk about our complex history as First Nations people, about the Indian reservation where we grew up, we also come from families of Indian residential school survivors. So all of our parents, our grandparents attended Indian residential schools. If you're not aware of what those are the schools that our First Nations people were forced to go to, that were run by the government and the church. And so my father, for example, spent 7 years at St. Paul's Indian Residential School, where he was sexually abused, physically abused, and emotionally abused. So we live in that cycle of being survivors due to government policies of oppression by the government. But we use those stories of my father, who's 86, who's still with us, of strength. And we use a lot of those stories of strength. When we talk about striving for excellence, it's for all of us to understand who we are. Because when we walk into certain situations like Wilson and I do today with all of you as Canadians, we want to give you a piece of our hearts, a piece of our minds, and have you understand our responsibility as Canadians to know who we are. So when Wilson and I are able to speak across the world to different audiences, we always land to where we are first and foremost, that we're Squamish people. We're British Columbia, but we're also Canadian. And that's one thing that we're proud of, that we're able to hold 3 hats: Squamish, British Columbia, and Canadian. I know all of you here, all of us have different histories how we got to this room today. All we ask all of you is to understand our story as First Nations people in this country, honor that, but also recognize that we're all on this journey of reconciliation together. We want all of us to walk side by side together, because in our old teachings as Squamish people, we never walked in front of somebody, we never walked behind someone. We looked each other in the eyes, we held our hearts and our minds together, because we look into somebody's soul as First Nations people, we know if they're being genuine and authentic with us. And that's how we go to strive for excellence as First Nations people, as human beings first and foremost. I'm lucky that I'm a teacher. I get to teach kids, I get to work with governments, I get to work with First Nations leaders and ask them to have their open hearts and open minds. I ask all of you to do that. That is a First Nations teacher. And I'm proud to be on the board of Canada Soccer. We are beginning to change the narrative of the sport here in the country, along with our president, Peter, and other new board members. We're trying to change the narrative to strive for excellence, but to win. The women and the men's programs, my objective as a board member, as a Canadian, is to win. We no longer want to be second place in CONCACAF. We want to continue to strive to change our narrative in CONCACAF and then to the world. We're very lucky that we've got a coach who stands up for Canada. Through his press conferences and through other issues, he talks about being Canadian now. And us as First Nations people, we were talking about that earlier, about what Jesse's remarks are. We love that as First Nations people, because we know that he will go to war with us to make the world better. And that's what we ask all of you, is to come with us. We'll go with you as Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people to make this place better for everyone. Because one day, I was lucky enough to wear the Canada logo on my left chest. There's some other old timers older than me that played for Canada. When's the last time we had a Canadian First Nations member play on the Canadian national team? That's my goal, is my little 12-year-old grandson who plays in the Nanaimo, British Columbia, that he's gonna wear the Canada jersey 5, 10, 15 years from now. That's what we talk about, equity. Equity for all, equity for every Canadian. And I'm proud to be Canadian, proud to be in front of all of you. Also,
Yeah, thank you, Tsnomot. Always learn so much, something new every time we do this. And just to extend on where I come from, I'm currently elected official with the Squamish Nation and spokesperson for the Squamish Nation, and proudly representing. This is a proud moment for me. Hold up here, but I'm a witness to the memories we have that we're creating history here today. I will take that back, myself and Tsnomot, to our communities to share what we've experienced a day after a big win. It'll go down in our history books, because we want to be there on this journey beyond next year's FIFA World Cup. We want to be on this journey, bringing up our young people to be in the seats that you are today, being on the pitch with you and your relations. And I want to hold up your history and where you come from. A lot of you born here and your parents come from beautiful lands throughout the world. Canada is home. We're a welcoming place, especially here on the West Coast. We've always been welcoming people. When canoes come to shore, we would have our hands up in welcome. But it also was a sign of peace, that we don't have weapons in our hands, that we are here welcoming people ashore. Some cultures will do, okay, let's smoke tobacco, or for us, it's like, let's sit down and share a meal and get to know each other. You know, that builds that relationship. And that's the journey you're on today. The team that has to come together to get along and find that peace of mind that comes as one, we say in Tsnomot in our language, one heart and one mind. That's what you guys are doing on a journey to win. I couldn't keep my eyes off the TV of the Stanley Cup yesterday, and how when Florida won, they talked about how close they were off the ice. And that's where the journey you guys are on. We want to empower that and encourage that, because that's what we want to take back to our communities. And that's what Brad's creating with his role and journey through soccer, but his life's journey of inspiring our young ones. He's been doing that for years as being a teacher and coach, and we're carrying that on. It's spreading wildfire in our Indigenous communities. So I want to thank you and hold you up. We couldn't leave without any gifts.
yeah, so could we have Jesse come up? Your captains? Captains? You don't have to dance or anything, so don't worry about that.
Come on, Josh.
We didn't bring our drums.
Let's bring our drums and start drumming for you guys.
Come on, Josh.
You have the,
Yeah, he's good.
he's
Okay.
So part of the regalia I'm wearing shows part of who we are, where we come from. The paddle vest, we are water people, canoe people, represents our identity and connection to the land with the cedar, and the paddles resembles our journey in life through the waters and through life itself. And we wear a headband to protect our thoughts. You know, when I first start public speaking, I would get that more nervous. I still get nervous, but it helps protect your thoughts and collect your thoughts. So we want to cover you, Jesse, with a headband, with the journey and leading this great group of people. And it's not easy. but you're doing it. You're a true advocate. The stories I'm hearing, not just from Tsnomot, but from our people who are big in the soccer community, really are inspired by you. We want to cover you with the headband that is woven by Master Weaver Sam Seward, another mentor of ours in our community for lacrosse, but he's a true warrior of sport. So we wanted to cover you if that's okay.
Yeah, it'd be an honor. Absolutely. Don't tie too tight. No, it's good. It's good.
Good man.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is meant to cover him and hold him up, to give him that strength as he's leading you on this beautiful journey. But also welcome to our territory. Sxwíxwtn and Tsnomot, we say. So we also have pins and gifts. We'll let the captain distribute.
Yes. Great.
There's bentwood boxes in there. I'm just going to hold it up. It's a traditional cedar box. There's a bit of a meaning on there, and they're made of cedar. It's a reminder you were here on the West Coast sharing a meal with our people, and hopefully it remembers at a moment to inspire you and empower you to get you through the tough times. Times aren't easy, but when you're off the pitch, that's when tough times come in. But when you're out there, time flies by so quickly. So, and there's pins in there as well.
Amazing.
So Chin Kamitomiya. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.